morning. My name is Linda Kaiser, and welcome to The Circle. I have 4 co-hosts here: Mary Beth Lord, Lucy Lopez, Shelley Evans, and Catherine Harris. And we are going to continue the conversation that we had a week ago about politics. And now we're going to talk about disclosure. And by disclosure, I mean disclosure of other civilizations with whom we have been in contact for many years. And I want to sort of hog the first couple of minutes and read you guys something that I found. This was President Dwight D. Eisenhower's farewell address. It was given January 17th, 1961. He said, "A vital element in keeping the peace is our military establishment. Our arms must be mighty, ready for instant action, so that no potential aggressor may be tempted to risk his own destruction." This conjunction, this is not the whole speech, but this conjunction of an immense military establishment and a large arms industry is new in the American experience. The total influence, economic, political, even spiritual, is felt in every city, every state house, every office of the federal government. We recognize the imperative need for this development, yet we must not fail to comprehend its grave implications. Our toil, resources, and livelihood are all involved. So is the very structure of our society. In the councils of government, we must guard against the acquisition of unwarranted influence, whether sought or unsought, by the military-industrial complex. The potential for the disastrous risk of misplaced power exists and will persist. We must never let the weight of this combination endanger our liberties or democratic process. We should take nothing for granted. Only an alert and knowledgeable citizenry can compel the proper meshing of the huge industrial and military machinery of defense with our peaceful methods and goals, so that security and liberty may prosper together. And the one comment that I want to make about this is in the one draft that he made of this speech, he initially used the term military-industrial congressional complex. And he was indicating the essential role that the United States Congress plays in the propagation of the whole military industry. But he decided at the last minute to strike that word because he needed to placate some members of the government. But many people are quite sure that this address was meant to put those people in the know on guard, that our government had been infiltrated, that certain contacts had been made with other entities from other planets or somewhere, and that we in fact did have contracts, and we in fact did have very big secrets that we were keeping from the American people. And there is evidence out there with Dr. Stephen Greer and the testimony that's been done and all the stuff that's out there, but it's like, to get this public, it's unbelievably hard to bring this public, because this military-industrial behemoth congressional that we've created, it's all powerful. So there you go. So don't you think the American people can be told the truth about other entities from other civilizations that may be here? What do you guys think?
People can always handle the truth. It's the lies. It's the concealment of information that throws people for a loop. Everybody can always handle the truth. Humanity is very adaptable, very flexible. We can more easily handle the truth than the lies, than the withholding of information, we'll call it.
Well, and there's also the phenomenon of predictive programming, where in some of the dramas, they try to give us a little bit of the truth, but it's disguised as a drama, like in the X-Files. You know, I mean, and when you speak about the difficulty of getting people to just look at this, it makes me wonder if they're ready for the truth. but maybe we've too many generations of dumbing down, and then people don't want to know. They're afraid of it.
I think that's the point, really the key point, Catherine, is that people have become afraid of it. They were not afraid of it when it was organic and natural coming into their awareness. I can speak from my own parents' perspective of having the experience of finding out that there are civilizations visiting the planet, visiting us all over the planet. And we're just talking North America, but look at how some of the countries in South America have not withheld this information from their population.
Exactly.
Russia is very forthcoming with this information.
Yes. And
so it's the, sorry, Linda, go ahead.
No, we're the country that isn't forthcoming.
Right. And I agree with Catherine that it's a lot of the programming. They've made all of the extraterrestrial movies and all of that are so scary, as though they really are coming here to, eat us, take over the planet, these things. But, in reality, these civilizations are as advanced as we believe that they are. They've had many, many, many opportunities to do harm to us, and it hasn't happened. So I think that, that whole programming is starting to fall away, and people are starting to realize that, if these entities show up, most likely they will be here to discover things about us and to teach us about them. And, not to say that there aren't some evil factions of them out there, but I believe that, just with humanity, I believe there's many, many more good people with good hearts and souls. And I believe that about the, the off-planet civilizations as well.
Well, the truth might piss us off, might scare us, but it'll set us free.
I like that, Lucy.
So,
That's great.
We need it now.
So what are we going to do about it?
We're doing it right now, us speaking about it and telling everybody, and just our dream to be together is to wake up the world, and here we are doing it as we speak.
Well, it is certainly odd to me that more people don't engage in this conversation, and I wonder if it's like Catherine was saying, we've had all the movies thrown at us, we've had so much thrown at us to make us think it's a game. And there's
a lot of people talking about it.
Pardon me?
Oh, I was just saying, I do believe there are many, many, many people talking about this. I know it even in my own family. This conversation is brought up. It's just like you have to go to obscure places, or you have to know websites like Dr. Stephen Greer or certain places. If you don't know where to go to get the actual truth, still innately you feel that God created everything. And so there's many, many creations out there, that are our basic brothers and sisters. And I think most people feel that.
Well, they don't necessarily have to look like us, because perhaps they don't come from our atmosphere or our density, or perhaps they use, a different gas to breathe other than what we do. So, but Shelley, would you tell us a little bit about your parents? Are you comfortable with discussing that?
Absolutely.
Love to hear.
Well, and just to add to that, there's also family that are non-physical. So besides the ones that, we can engage with on a physical level, there are also those that we engage with on a non-physical level. And for that matter, if we're going to talk disclosure, we may as well talk about the off-worlders too. And these are, yeah. So anyways, just about my own family, my own parents, this would have been probably in, like the 40s, I suppose, something like that, where the whole neighborhood was all abuzz about seeing UFOs in the sky. And at that point, they were actually encouraged to talk about it. There was a point, now I don't know that it was the 40s, it might have been much later, but the US government was actually sending out little brownie cameras and saying, if you see anything, please take pictures. They were giving away cameras. Yeah, little brownies. So that might help tell you what the era was, what year it was. Well, and then it was shortly after that it was decided that really this needed to enter into an area of containment where we weren't really supposed to talk about it anymore. So they made a little ground. However, because my own parents had been involved in that, and my own family turns out for even generations past as well, that just tells you that we've had company, benevolent, kind, helpful company rooting for us, not harmful. They're rooting for us, but they're not going to step in and take away your choice. They're not going to interfere. You know, and that's where I got that line from what we talked about last week with the government. Nothing is obtained by wanting or relinquishing responsibility to a higher authority, them included. And that came from them. That's what they said.
Right.
So they being a particular, we'll call it a race, Star Nation.
Mm-hmm.
But so people like me have had experience with all different kinds of Star Nations. Mm-hmm. There's so many of us that thought we were isolated and alone until the internet and we started connecting. Oh, you had this experience? Me too. Well, comparing notes. You know what? There have been pockets of us all over the planet that have known this, and we've talked about it with our friends, and that was always of interest and acceptable until the disinformation era was deliberately put upon us. And that's not that many years ago. So say from the 50s forward, perhaps something like that.
Yeah. And that's the same way it was with Dr. Greer. As some people heard other people come out, so to speak, which is what happened, they began to get more brave as it became apparent that these people have committed fraud against us. They've stolen our money. We need to be paid back. They need to be sued under RICO. They need to go to jail, and they need to get back the money. And it was fascinating. Yesterday, I watched Christine Lagarde, who's the head of the IMF, and she was at the Aspen Ideas Festival, and she made a statement that something to the effect that it is known in the world now that the world is awash with corruption and bribery, and it would take a few years, but it was a known breakdown. It's no longer an unknown breakdown because of the internet, and because we talk. So now here's the head of the IMF saying we get that it's a rigged deal. We get that, but we can't wave our magic wand and collapse these economies and collapse these banks and collapse these companies and put billions of people on the unemployment lines. We have to give a thought process to this. And we have to think through what's going on. So I thought that was an interesting statement that caught my ears, just pricked right up. I was like, oh my God, she said something really significant.
Right, and these thought processes have been evaluated, and there are plans. But then there's the little faction that are wanting to hang on to their allowances and their pseudo images of power and doing everything they can to disallow that, including the mockery of people who want to come forward and talk about it.
Exactly.
Right. I mean, you've even got the former Minister of Defense, Paul Hellyer.
Yeah.
He's an old gentleman. I mean, why would anybody think he would risk looking, becoming a figure to be ridiculed if this wasn't the truth?
Hey, in Alberta, we even have a dedicated town with a landing pad that we're hopeful that they're going to come visit. So does Hawaii, by the way. Big Island, also.
What a great idea.
I know. Ours was first.
Yeah,
That's
I saw them. They had a conference in the desert recently. Patty Greer was at it, and a bunch of people. And they did a thing where they invited, you know, the UFOs to appear. And when they said, okay, you know, it's not a blinking light, that's not a plane. So then they were flashing them with lasers.
Yes, very illegal now, but yes, it's fun.
Yeah, trying to communicate.
Hey, you know what? Your intention, your genuine request is a thought form, and thought forms are very easily read by anybody of a higher ability. Anybody that's not, well, under the third dimensional illusion, we'll say. So all you have to do is open your heart and ask. And not also, what I would say if you want contact is to not have a parameter of how you want it to look. Like, don't expect somebody with wings, you know, don't be appalled if it's, you know, somebody with bigger eyes than yours. You know, if you want to ask, then be open to what comes to you. That's all. And also there's so many, we'll call them plasma beings that you can communicate with. You know what? The Therify device, although it's for healing, okay, I don't want to say it's for healing, it's for everything. It's plasma. And that alone can introduce you to the concept of how to communicate with plasma. And then there's meditation. You can go into meditation. There's ceremony. There's native ceremonies that have been used. There's so many ways to communicate.
You can see them in my barn.
Yeah, orbs. Are you talking about orbs, or you got some romantic people, or what have you got over there, Linda?
I've got all my orbs. They're all over the stalls.
Ah, yeah.
Yeah, they are. They're everywhere.
Yeah.
They're neat.
I-
So Lucy, you
I-
and Rebecca
I-
are quiet.
I believe that they're just waiting for us to get it together and love ourselves first.
Well, I think you might be right.
They could truly love themselves, and then we'll pop in and do a party for them.
Right, and it's not that simple. It really isn't that simple. There's a lot of things going on in the unseen, we'll call it, fields. That isn't just all pleasant and, you know, waiting for humanity to welcome with open arms. There's been a lot of
There's a lot of work to be done on our part.
So,
But the most important thing is that we open our hearts and we open our minds to the information, period. And then we can take it from there. Then we can deal with truth. We can deal with truth.
Yes.
I think that I have you ever heard Bernie talk about any of this, you guys?
No. Does he?
Has he? Anybody that's followed him?
I'm not familiar with anything about it.
It's more,
I mean, every president gives the lip service about, oh yeah, I will find out. Ha 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 ha, right? So I really think that we need to start asking, to start making, I think we should ask people how they really feel about this subject. I think we should presence a conversation when we go about our daily business and try to mention to 2 or 3 people that we see, like the gal in the grocery store, or what do you think about politics? What do you think about this? What do you think about telling the truth about UFOs? And just see what people say. We have to generate a broader conversation. Now, and that's something that we can do. Like, I swear to you, this guy, when he came to my house to visit me this afternoon, he had no idea that we were going to end up talking about Dr. Stephen Greer and the military budget. But let me tell you, when he walked out of here, he knew what got spent for defense spending out of the discretionary budget. Because I make it my mission to tell someone every day. This conversation must be presenced.
Linda, you remind me when beginning of me waking up, I took all my customers and literally I have my phone. my phone set up to go to the age of Gaia that they had this disclosure little 3-minute thing, and I literally would put to every customer, and they wouldn't freak out. They wouldn't tell me, oh no, this is not. They would be, receiving it.
Yeah, I think we're there, but I think we have to, I think we have to consciously say that one of our jobs each day is, let's discuss this. Whether it's at the drugstore, whether it's at the grocery store, whether it's your girlfriend, or whether you run into somebody taking your walk in the morning.
And we don't have to have that little music in the background. Dun, 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 dun.
No.
We can just say, have fun with it.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there, how much more craziness could there possibly be? We might as well just carry it on.
I'm telling you, the politics is helping us, is helping this closure. So they think they're doing something horrible. They're not. They're actually helping it.
Well, it'd be really cool is if we could have some sort of big meditation and maybe land in Donald Trump's golf course.
That would be perfect.
It would be perfect, wouldn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Because what is it going to take to kind of blow the cover off that, Linda? I mean, the government cover. I mean, it's going to take like an audit of the Pentagon or something, right?
Well, it's what we were talking about earlier, the fact that one big company could literally be in every country, involved in multi-billion-dollar projects. And Bechtel would be but one example. We've got BAE Systems and Lockheed and Boeing and all the defense contractors. There's hundreds. And you know what they did that was interesting? They subbed out. There was a sort of a plan on the part of the Congress to sub out the parts of the big weapon systems into each congressional district. So think about it. It's really hard to cancel a weapons program if a part of that plane or a part of that weapon system, whatever it is made in your county.
Providing jobs.
It provides jobs. We're talking about a really big employer here. These guys are big, They're big. They're big, 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 big. And a bunch of them are privately owned. So that puts an immense power, this immense power, like the Koch brothers, like the Bechtel guys. This is immense power for one person to have.
So we transition them to another form of technology and manufacturing and have them going into wind and solar and
right. And they're diversified now, so it really shouldn't be such a big deal.
Up in all countries, the infrastructure's there would be no unemployment, but this would be something for humanity and not against humanity.
Right. And what's missing is us saying that this must be so.
Right.
We must demand that this be so, that they have to diversify back into their other companies. They're all bringing these other things on. They know the handwriting's on the wall. It's why the Saudis are doing their big mutual fund.
Well, just like Ron Paul wants an audit of the Federal Reserve, there should be an audit of all of the lobbyists, an audit of all of the politicians who were bought, an audit of all of these large corporations that we're subsidizing. It should all be audited and it should be shown to the public. And then we can say, no, there are more subsidies for you. And if you want to switch and you now want to do, manufacturing a project for humanity, fine. Maybe we can see it in our hearts to forgive you and let's get on with it, and if not, well, sorry, you're out of business then. And those that are unemployed, we'll find a way to help them, because the solutions are endless. It's just that people feel that, this is the structure that we have, the systems that we have, and we're stuck. We are not stuck. We're only stuck as long as we believe we're stuck. But we can definitely change this. Absolutely.
We're already knocking one wall by just us doing what we do. And open up that square box. Open it up.
Like, you know, even a year ago, if you talked about Monsanto, people would say they're so huge, they're everywhere, they're in every country, there's nothing we can do. We're stuck with these seeds. We're stuck with all of this. We're stuck with Bayer. We're stuck with, you know, but we're not. We're seeing the change. People are coming together. They're, you know, really, really finding some good people to stand up and use strong voices, and they are changing laws. You know, we're bringing down these giants that we never thought we'd be able to touch. So, you know, if anything, we should be here to tell people, don't give up. The changes are already being made. It's just that where we are at our positions, we may not really see it because, again, we go back to the control of the media. But in reality, these giants are starting to fall.
And even without the media stating all that they have to state, just walk around the grocery store. There's a bunch of organic stuff out there. When I started trying to find organic stuff, I could hardly find any. Now it's really big in bold letters, GMO free, and it's so much easier in a couple of years. I mean, we're doing it. I mean, I know we need the extra push and all of that, but we're doing it.
Well, I think Mary Beth was on the right track, because if we tell everyone we know that there will be created a Department of Peace, and the Department of War will report to the Department of Peace, and there's a solution there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like that? I think that's the idea.
Yeah, Department of Education can be run by some unbelievably enlightened and soulful mothers and fathers who can see that, you know, by educating children with nurturing and out in nature and, you know, all of this stuff, you know, nurturing the soul is so important, and getting them out of the program of our education that we have now. I mean, we could change every one of these, you know, Health and Human Services. You know, bring in a beautiful mix of Western and Eastern medicines, and don't get these, you know, doctors and physicians and practitioners embedded in there. Have it as,
you know, don't forget, Mary Beth, that these technologies, there are advanced technologies that are being hidden from us.
Exactly.
And that's not right, because they bought these technologies with our tax dollars.
Exactly.
They lied to us. They stole from us, and they need to go to jail unless they pay back their money. And then maybe, if they're really nice, we can find an island where they can all live together.
Absolutely.
Well, think about it.
Absolutely, we could do that. Yeah.
You know?
Even better than that,
Solution.
recondition them to do something, you know, for humanity. Let them work, you know, in a way that's actually helping humanity. They've
Yes.
been empowered to destroy us. Now give them something to do that will help us.
And then
whether they want to do it
rather than go to their island.
Yeah.
Let them learn how to grow their own food over there.
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
And I think we take the ambassador and we make him head of the UN, and he just
I'll have to tell him that.
ambassador can do that, and you know, just use people like us and our friends and family who have good hearts and good ideas and good souls, and you know, just put us in power. We can do it.
I think we could.
I know we could.
So, Catherine, talk about disclosure from the point of view of Native Americans.
Well, you know, I'm a student,
Right.
but I just know that they've had this relationship with the Star family, the Star families, forever, from time immemorial. They aren't afraid. They know these people. This is their relatives. And so if we're in doubt, we should go to them. We should go to the tribes and say, you know, please teach us. They know all about it.
Yeah, well, and not only that, like the South African people that Michael Tellinger writes about.
Yeah.
All those ruins down there, it is so obvious from all the tests that they've done on all those ruins down there that there's so much evidence everywhere in the world, and except for the silly old United States. So we will change that. We're going to talk about the Department of Peace, and that it will be running the Department of War, and that any big CEO of any big defense contractor or whomever wants to cooperate with us, they could keep part of their mansion maybe, and they won't have to go to the island as long as they do their business in a way that benefits all society.
Mm-hmm.
And we must have peace. We are no longer willing to sit back and let these people rape our planet, kill our friends. It's not a nice thing to do. So we just have to talk about it all the time, at least to one person a day, because it's exponential. You know, if we all talk to one person and ask that person to talk to one person and that person to talk to one person, pretty soon you've got 144 conversations going on, and that just keeps exploding and exploding, right?
Well, when you look at the defense contractors, you know, you look at what the person or the company or the corporation has done, and you look at the opposite. So if they've been in destroying infrastructure, you know, destroying all the schools, okay, so you take these contractors now, you put them back into those countries and you have them rebuild. And that's their jobs. They keep their employment, but they're totally rebuilding and they're getting paid a regular salary, nothing exorbitant. Same with any of the chemical companies. If they've made chemicals that destroy Mother Nature, well, now if they can figure out a way to make a chemical that is, you know, eco-friendly, okay, they can stay in business and they can help humanity. Just look at the opposite of what they've done, and it can help, you know, even look at it from a karmic point of view. You know, let them start to work on their karma issues that they're going to have for lifetimes after what they've done to destroy people. So it's all possible.
Start changing the mentality of people seeing karma in a mean way. Karma is positive. Karma could be moving forward.
Mm-hmm. We must change the status of the power elite. That it just has to come to a halt. Mm-hmm. Doesn't work, can't work, we're tired of it. Don't know how many other ways to say it. We're just tired of it.
When you look at that defense budget, as you were speaking about last week, and if you think of the money that could be poured into enhancing the human experience and enhancing, cleaning up the planet and educating people and helping people be well, and it just seems like we're wasting our resources on the worst possible things.
Well, it's even more bizarre than that, Catherine, because think about it like this. If we, in fact, have had these contracts with other entities from other places for many years, back in the Eisenhower years, then we trade with those people. So there is a whole monetary system going on. At the same time, our world economic system is going on. Where is all this money going that's missing? Does anyone ever think about the trillions of dollars that are missing from the Defense Department? Did it go into vehicles to go elsewhere? Are we trading? Is there a Mars base? Do we have a base on the moon? What is really going on? And why all of a sudden are all these guys coming out and saying, I was age regressed, I've been to Mars? I mean, there are guys coming out and corroborating each other's remarks right now in a way that is sort of going around, and more and more and more people are finding out about these guys and asking questions. So when you think about it, if you think about we have a world economy, do we really have an interstellar economy? Do we even know? We don't even know. So, you know, the very idea that this could be going on then just, it makes you wonder. On the day that Rumsfeld said we're missing $2.3 trillion, the day before 9/11, that's the day he made that statement, September 10th, right? We are missing $2.3 trillion that is unaccounted for. And I have the note on my bathroom mirror that I put up there that day. It's still on the mirror. It says, where is the 2.3 trillion? Just to remind myself that I was pissed off then, and I am still pissed, and I have not given up trying to find that money.
Well, Linda, have you ever thought that, You know, years ago, if people came out and started to talk about, you know, Mars base or anything going on with the moon or anything, you know, it was just shut down immediately. Don't you find it odd that there's these people now that are out there talking and talking about the agencies, the CIA, whatever that they were involved with, and all of this teleportation and all of these things. And it's like they're allowed to do it now. And I think it is part of disclosure. I think that the government doesn't want to come out all of a sudden and say, yes, we had this and we didn't want to tell you, because there would be such a backlash. But if they let these people out there telling their stories, the government can say, wow, we better really look into that. I wonder if it's real. You know, it's a way that it takes the onus off of them.
Have you seen the new Boeing ad?
No.
It's really interesting because it alludes to the fact that we're doing Mars travel, we're doing moon travel. It's all about Boeing and taking us into the future to the Mars base. It's like such a preparation for news to come. So I think you could be correct. I mean, they have to know the jig's up. They're not stupid.
Absolutely.
You know, when Christine Lagarde goes on television and says, hey, we all know it's corrupt now, but it's going to take a few years to clean it up, guys. Be patient, right? So they're all scurrying around trying to figure out how to come clean.
There's a bunch of movies that brings us to the fear-mongering thing, but there's another bunch of movies that wake us up into a nice feel of disclosure.
Right.
I mean, a little alien movie that I really like is called Paul.
What is it called?
Paul.
Paul, Paul, like
Paul.
that's the name of it?
Funny movie. I mean, yeah, it's just, they're bringing it out slowly just to ease us in it.
No, but we need to speed it up, I think. I do think we need to speed it up.
I agree.
Yeah, because they're spending all the money.
Yeah, and therein lieth the problem. We're going to go broke. They'll figure out, you know, the money machinations are just so unbelievable. So many people made so much money over this vote of the UK to leave. They made so much money. That's all that's being done. It's just manipulate. It's very bizarre. So I would like to see the sooner more information comes out, the sooner we're going to clean up the mess. And I think that's our goal, is to clean up our mess, because we're aware that there is a mess. And now we need to spread the awareness that there is a mess. And then we have to clean up our mess, right?
But I think before this was
always not alone. Pardon me?
I said, I think this has been going on, this manipulation, forever. And the thing was, it was always able to be done in the darkness, so nobody knew. And now the same manipulation and greed and all of that is going on, but people know it now. And so, yeah, it might have just happened again with the vote on the EU, but so many people are aware of it now that eventually they're not going to be able to hide this stuff. It's just not going to be able to be hidden. And that's when we step in, because I believe that, you know, we're all being prepared for the time that we're going to take our place and do what we're called to do. I believe that we're the generation here. We're the people here, I believe, that are going to step in and clean this up. I think we all believe in a spirituality. I think we all have been, I don't want to use the word groomed because we don't like that, but I really feel like we're here for this time. We're seeing what's happening, and there has to be a group of people here that can, you know, fill the void when this corruption and these awful, you know, leaders leave the scene. There has to be people here that are ready. And I think groups are being formed all around the world. When you look on the internet and you see the beautiful spiritual groups that are being formed and communities that people are building on their own, I believe that we're all honing ourselves for those leadership roles and to form communities and just move forward when this house of cards collapses. So that's just what I believe on a spiritual level.
I would like to ask Shelley to explain to us how universally this is like organized. It's not something that is just, oh, we're gonna do this because we just happen to to just know. I know Shelley could explain that a lot. Is she listening?
I don't know.
You know what? I'm sorry, my sound is so poor mysteriously, and I've been dropped a couple times. So, Lou, sorry, I didn't catch what you were referring to there. I would like to remind everybody that this is not something just current. Look at as old as the Dogon people have talked about star families visiting us. We have all the mythologies that discuss and give us maps exactly, give us formulas for teleportation. All you need to do is look up Harmony of Apollo, and you can do an overlay of exactly how the ancients knew how to do teleportation. How did they know that? We've been visited. We have had company. And you know, all that sparkles is found in the oneness that we are. It's who we are as a collective, and all of this eager, you know, control and desire to keep us separate is a big part of what has prevented disclosure. It's in our oneness that we can evolve and raise our frequency to the frequency of others, that then would make it the same as communicating with somebody else in the same room as you, right? So it's the daily interaction. Like I said, you can just open your hearts and talk to them. The daily interaction and communication in the oneness will encourage even new sequencing, neurological pathways in your own physical being to hasten our return to a full consciousness.
Exactly. Because you lay down the brain pattern. You want to make a new brain. You actually create new cells in the way you think about yourself, in the way that you see the world. So you're actually shifting everything when you shift your thinking.
Right, and by the creation of bliss, that's why I say bliss should be taught to our elementary students.
I agree.
Bliss should be taught at home. Bliss should be in politics. And the science of bliss is just so basic, and it's part of what has prevented us from having things like disclosure and all the technologies that belong to us withheld from us.
Yeah, we live in an interesting time. I will say that. For some reason, when I was a little girl, I used to, you know, my grandmother would say there will come a time of peace, right? But I didn't think I would be there. But now I think I'm here.
Mm-hmm. You are, because it's our choice. We are the ones incumbent upon ourselves to create peace. How much peace have you created in your life today? That's going to be relevant to how quickly you're able to communicate with our star family, should you choose to. Lucy, tell me again what you were saying. I'm really sorry I missed it.
I wanted you to explain, because I know you would do such a lovely job, on how this is an organized ordeal of the universe.
Oh, yeah, isn't that funny? I almost even spoke to that. It is the oneness, and it's a fractal kind of nesting, as above, so below. As above, it's in the blueprint is contained in every cell of your being. The God spark is in every cell of your being. And it's up to you to say, you know, just acknowledge, okay, my taste buds just want to taste, and my lungs just want to breathe. My heart just wants to love. You know, if you just stay in what you can do to loving, and I do mean that from a compassion quality that is attributed to masters. And so I think we've reached that place where we can go beyond tolerance and now step into compassion, because with that, compassion is an actual frequency. Everything in the universe is frequency. And once we grasp frequency, all we need to do is match specific frequencies to be able to, we could call it travel, but it's an interfacing. So it's like learning an alphabet. You learn the frequency of who you want to communicate with, and you're there, you know? Like some of your ancestors maybe want to communicate with you after they passed on. It's just frequency. And it's a little bit like tuning the radio. and it's not to, oversimplify it, because we're all in flow. It's a constant evolution of change. It's like a domino effect. The butterfly in South America, it flaps its wings, everything has changed. But if we're in the flow and we're current with the frequencies, it's pretty easy to match. And so I wanted to bring love into it, because we need our hearts to direct our minds. And our hearts have been separated deliberately. Deliberately, we've been conditioned to disallow heart information. I think we need to say, brain, get thee behind me. That's what the Bible, Satan, get thee behind me. Okay, brain, get thee behind me. Let the heart take the lead.
Well,
okay, brains.
At the very minimum, Shelley, back to the God spark, the realization that we are a ball of light, that this is a suit we wear.
Yes.
Lawyer to this environment, this atmosphere. That's how we are put together. And it's not the brain that runs us, it's right. The ball of light. The organ of delivery is the brain.
Well, and also putting yourself into the position where the angle of light of the photon that you're interacting with is correct.
Yes.
And that's why I want to vote for Dan Winter after our last conversation, because he so simply teaches.
I know.
This.
He's a really good teacher. And not only is he a good teacher, he does it across domains. So in other words, he can give a lecture that pertains to physics, or he can give a lecture that pertains to sacred geometry.
Yeah,
or
anything.
It doesn't matter. The guy, he can explain in more metaphors than anyone that I've come across.
Yeah.
Certain teachers, in my opinion, are good teachers based on how many times they can tell the same story in a different way.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, Rapta is the absolute master of being able to tell the exact same story 8 million ways. Because he will wait until he sees that he's brought everyone along to the same place. Mm-hmm. Because that's the ability of a master to read energy.
Right.
And well, we're going to have this conversation that we're energetic beings.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'd like to give a shout out to Bill Donahue at Hidden Meanings too, because he's another one that just can so simplify what was presented as, some kind of esoteric or religious, story, mythology, and he can just bring it into absolute common sense, down to earth.
Yeah, and it's back to education. We're right back down to where we started, the kids. Mm-hmm. And what are they learning in school about this stuff? And what do they know about energy? And what do they know about frequency? This is the very basic of what it's going to take to be a citizen in the next 1,000 years. And so the way we're teaching.
Right, and nature can teach us. And so whosever suggestion it was to take our current leaders and stick them on an island, I think let them grow their own food was brilliant, because now they'll be interacting with nature and they'll have an opportunity to actually learn something valuable that endures.
I like that idea.
I like it.
Okay, so anybody want to have any closing statements here before we wrap it up?
Look at once.
Go, Lucy.
Oh, like I said before, the truth might piss us off, make us put in fear, but it'll set us free. Let's have it.
100% correct. Maybe that's what we should title this. The truth shall set us free, right?
Yeah, there you go.
Well, thanks, you guys. It's been great. And we'll do this again. And thank everyone for watching us.